For today's shoot, we are creating an image all about luxury, and I'm going to do so with beautiful styling, a gold background, and sculpted lighting. Hey everybody, Lindsay Adler here. In my work, I love adding a sense of glamour and luxury, and there's so many different ways to do this, and I do it whether I'm shooting a fashion editorial or a portrait. In fact, I treat the two very much the same. So when I shoot a portrait, I'm planning hair and makeup, and wardrobe, and carefully sculpted lighting because I want elevated results. And so that's one of the things I want to show you today. How do I achieve these glamorous, elevated, luxurious images? Another reason for this shoot is I'd like to share with you the Gravity Backdrop Signature Collection by me. I've actually worked in collaboration with Gravity to create this beautiful gold background. And a couple of years ago, I was doing this shoot and the theme was gold on gold because I love achieving that glamorous effect, and I couldn't find a gold background anywhere. So I reached out to them and they made me a custom gold background. I loved the results, and so we decided to create them for other photographers to be able to photograph. In today's shoot, I'm going to show you how to create an image that is elevated and luxurious on my gold background. But one of the things I want you to take away from this is that very often portrait photographers use big, broad, soft light sources, and that can be beautiful. However, it's not as dramatic or cinematic or as dimensional. And so today I want to show you how I'm going to use 4 different lights, each to create little careful pockets of light to create an image that has a ton of depth, drama, and luxury. All right, so let's get started. With our first light, I am shooting with a Profoto D2, and on it is a Westcott optical spot. Now this modifier is a definition of control. It allows you to create beautiful little pockets of light. In fact, it has leaves that allows you to create a slice of light. And so for our first modifier, I am just creating a slice of light down the center of the subject. Now I'm going to add in more lights for dimension. So at first she's basically going to look like a little floating head, but no, we're not going to end there. This is just the beginning. So let's see what it looks like with just our very first strobe. You can see the effect that is achieved here is not really possible with many other modifiers. You'll notice just that little beam of light down the center. Now, if you don't have an optical spot and you still want to control your light, try using something like a grid or even a beauty dish with a grid so that the light is not spreading everywhere in the scene. All right, so that is our first light. But now you'll notice that she has this beautiful glamorous dress and it's just kind of disappearing to shadow. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a second strobe, another controlled light, but I'm going to point it at the bottom of the dress. So just behind me, you can see that there's another strobe on a floor stand. And on it is a 5-degree grid, which is basically a really concentrated light source. And it's just going to illuminate the bottom of the dress. So this is going to be very important to make sure that I have the dimension that I want. And this is what's going to pick up on the sequins that you can see on the bottom of the gown. So let's add in our second strobe. You can see that so far, we are working with 2 pockets of light. The optical spot with the slice down her face and chest, and then the grid on the lower part of the dress. But there's still a lot of shadow in this image. I purposely planned a gold background with gold sequins, but you can't really see the background at all. So that's where we're going to add our third light. This is a fill light, and what it's going to do is lift up all the shadows and also illuminate that background. There are many different directions I could take a fill light. For example, a favorite of mine is a medium or large umbrella with diffusion pointed at the scene. But when I want light that goes everywhere, it bounces all around and just lifts up those shadows, my most common choice of fill is just to bounce the light everywhere into the room. And so you can see over here to the right-hand side of the frame, I am using a bare bulb pointed up towards the ceiling. What that does is it bounces off the back wall, it bounces off the ceiling, it bounces all the way around the room, and then I can control that to lift up the shadows. So I'm going to add that third light now. There's no modifier on it at all. What's nice about this light is that I can control the amount of fill to the shadow. So at any point I can turn it down if I want the image to be darker and richer and more dramatic, or I can turn it up if I want more fill. So for example, if I want to go down a stop for more dramatic results, this is what the image will look like. So far, we have a main light that's a strip, a second light filling in the bottom of the dress, and a third light bouncing to the corner of the room to lift up the shadows. So in this case, I am going to add one more strobe, a final 4th light. And I'm going to use this for a little separation so the subject doesn't blend into the background so much. Now, one of the things I could do is actually light the background. I could take a light, hide it behind her dress, point it at the background, and give her a little glow or a halo. That's one way you can create separation. But for this image, we noticed that she had all of these beautiful sequins on her, and so we knew we could achieve a pretty dramatic effect by adding a rim light, a light that would hit the subject from behind. So over to the right-hand side of the frame, you can see I have another strobe with another 5-degree grid. So I'm actually using two 5-degree grids, one on the lower part of the dress and one as a rim light. Now that light is going to illuminate the side of her body, but it's also going to hit the back of the dress. When it hits the back of the dress because of those sequins, it's going to reflect off. It's going to create not only separation, but a little bit of glamorous texture on the background. So let's see what that fourth strobe is adding to the equation. As you can see, her dress basically is acting like a disco ball and she's refracting light everywhere, which means it's also reflecting on the background. Now, you'll see in this photograph, all 4 of these strobes are using hard light. As I mentioned before, portrait photographers very often just use a big, broad, soft light source. And that can be beautiful, but you're not going to get the depth and dimension and drama that you see here. Furthermore, several of the creative effects in this image require a hard light. You need hard light to get that slice of light on her face. You need the hard light on the back of the subject's dress to get those reflections. And then the hard light is going to do one more thing for us. We're going to add the final piece of creativity to the equation by adding a star filter to our lens. Now, star filter, we're going to screw it onto the front of the lens, and what it does is anywhere in the image where there is a point light source, a reflection off of a sequin or a piece of jewelry, what it does is it takes that reflection and it creates a starburst effect. And so if you're going for glamorous, you're going for luxurious, which is exactly what I'm trying to achieve in this image, it's going to emphasize that even more. So let's add the star filter. All right, so that star filter is dramatic. You can see it all over the bottom of the dress, even on the top of the dress. If you look closely, sometimes you can even see it in the catch lights in the subject's eye. It's any point source reflection of light. And so now as I have my subject move around, every time there's a different reflection on the sequence, it's going to give me different results of the star filter. All right, so I have beautiful styling, beautiful lighting, and this creative effect. So now I'm going to go grab the shot. And as I take this image, I've chosen a 24-105 lens. And the reason I've done this is I can try different compositions. I'm likely going to go for a full-length shot because I love the dramatic movement of the dress. Okay, let's go get it. All right, so I'm gonna have you just throw the dress up maybe off to the side. As you look at the final shots, I think that these scream luxury, and that's exactly what I try to give my subjects, whether it is a fashion model or a portrait subject. And that's the reason that we've created the Gravity Backdrop Signature Collection Gold Background, is because I want to be able to give any and all of my subjects this luxurious experience. So if you want to see the gear used in the making of these images and you want to check out the backgrounds, be sure to check out the links in the description below. See you next time, guys.